In 1968, the world watched a nightmare disguised as a miracle. A young woman in New York City, a loving husband, a dream of starting a family. But beneath the wallpaper and warmth, something evil was whispering, something ancient, something that would change cinema forever. This is Rosemary's Baby, the film that redefined horror, terrified the church, and became a symbol of both artistic freedom and Hollywood's darkest superstition. It begins in the late 60s, a decade cracking open under the weight of rebellion and revelation. Director Roman Polanski, still new to Hollywood, was adapting Ira Levin's shocking novel, a story of innocence, manipulation, and the corruption of faith. Mia Farrow was cast as Rosemary, a fragile, luminous woman whose soft presence would soon be pushed to the brink of madness. Opposite her was John Cassavetes, playing the charming but morally decaying husband, Guy Woodhouse. Together they embodied the American dream, and in that dream Polanski planted a seed of dread. Guy and Rosemary Woodhouse rent a recently vacated apartment in the Bramford, a large Gothic building in New York City, after the previous tenant, an elderly woman, fell into a coma and died. Guy and Rosemary ignore their friend Hutch's warning about the Bramford's dark past involving witchcraft and murder. Rosemary meets a young woman, Terry Gianofrio, a recovering drug addict whom Minnie and Roman Castevet, the Woodhouse's elderly next-door neighbors, took in from the street. Rosemary admires a pendant necklace the Castevets gave to Terry, but dislikes its contents' pungent odor. One night, Terry apparently jumps to her death from the Castevets' seventh-floor apartment. Soon the Castevets befriend Guy and Rosemary. Guy grows increasingly fond of them, but Rosemary finds them annoying and meddlesome. Minnie gives Terry's pendant to Rosemary as a good luck charm containing tannis root. Guy lands an important role in a play after the original actor inexplicably goes blind. With his career on track, Guy wants to have a baby with Rosemary. On the night they plan to conceive, Minnie brings them individual cups of chocolate mousse. Guy chastises Rosemary for complaining hers has a chalky undertaste. She eats only a small portion before secretly discarding the rest. She passes out and experiences a dreamlike vision in which a demonic presence rapes her as Guy, the Castevets, and other Bramford tenants, all nude, watch. The next morning, Rosemary's body is covered in scratches. Guy says they had sex while she was unconscious, since he did not want to miss baby night. When Rosemary becomes pregnant, the Castevets insist she go to their close friend Dr. Abraham Saperstein, a prominent obstetrician, rather than her own physician, Dr. Hill. During her first trimester, Rosemary suffers severe abdominal pains and loses weight, though Dr. Saperstein attributes it to temporary stiff pelvic joints. Her gaunt appearance alarms Hutch, who later researches the Bramford's history and Roman Castevet. The night before Hutch is to meet with Rosemary to share his findings, he falls into a mysterious coma. Rosemary, unable to withstand the pain, insists she must visit Dr. Hill. Guy is angry because he worries Dr. Saperstein will be offended. As they argue, the pains suddenly stop, and Rosemary feels the baby move for the first time. 3 months later, Hutch's friend Grace Cardiff calls Rosemary to inform her Hutch is dead. Before dying, he briefly regained consciousness and told Grace to give Rosemary a book on witchcraft, along with a cryptic message, "The name is an anagram." Rosemary studies the book and deduces that Roman Castevet is an anagram for Stephen Marcato, the son of a former Bramford resident and a reputed Satanist. She suspects the Castevets and Dr. Saperstein belong to a satanic coven and have sinister plans for her baby. Guy discounts her suspicions and throws the book away, making her think he may be conspiring with them. Terrified, Rosemary visits Dr. Hill for help. Assuming she is delusional, he calls Dr. Saperstein, who arrives with Guy to take Rosemary home. They assure her that neither she nor the baby will be harmed. Rosemary locks herself in the apartment, but coven members infiltrate and restrain her. Dr. Saperstein sedates a hysterical Rosemary, who goes into labor and gives birth. When she awakens, she is told the baby was stillborn. As Rosemary recovers, she hears an infant crying that Guy claims belongs to new tenants. Believing her baby is alive, Rosemary examines a linen closet that shares a wall with the Castevet's apartment and discovers a hidden door leading into the apartment. In the living room, the Castevets, Guy, Dr. Saperstein, and other coven members are gathered around a cradle as if celebrating. Peering inside, Rosemary is horrified to see that the child has eyes that recall the demonic figure she saw in her vision when she and Guy conceived. She demands to know what is wrong with her baby. Roman tells her the baby has his father's eyes, that he is not Guy's son, but Satan's son. He reveals that her experience the night the child was conceived was not a vision, but reality, and that the child that resulted is destined to lead the Satanists in a revolt against all who oppose their beliefs. When Guy tries to calm Rosemary by claiming they will be generously rewarded and can conceive their own child, Rosemary spits in his face. Roman gently urges her to be a mother to the child, saying that the women in the coven are too old to do this. Rosemary appears stunned by all she's been told, but after hearing the infant's cries, she tenderly begins to rock the cradle. From the very first frame, the film didn't look like a horror movie. It looked like real life. Polanski shot it with a cold observational eye, letting fear grow quietly in the corners of beautiful apartments and polite conversations. No monsters, no jump scares, just the terror of being gaslit, of not being believed, of realizing that the people you love may have already sold you out. Mia Farrow's performance was hauntingly real. Pale, trembling, her voice cracking between hope and horror. What she endured on screen felt too personal, too close. Audiences sensed that something about her breakdown wasn't just acting. Then came the release. Rosemary's Baby premiered in June 1968, the same summer America was mourning Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy. It was a time of grief, confusion, and moral panic. A film about Satan and motherhood hit nerves everywhere. Religious groups called it blasphemous. Some theaters refused to screen it. Catholic organizations condemned it outright, labeling it an attack on Christian values. In parts of the American South, the film was unofficially banned or heavily censored. Overseas, countries like Spain and Portugal, still under conservative regimes, blocked it entirely. In others, like Ireland and parts of Italy, it was pulled from theaters after protests. The outrage wasn't just about religion, it was about the way the movie made evil look ordinary. There were no demons with horns, no fiery crosses, just smiling neighbors and nice people doing unspeakable things. That realism terrified censors more than fantasy ever could. Because Polanski had revealed something people didn't want to see, that the devil might not appear in flames. He might just live next door. But behind the screen, the film's darkness began to bleed into real life. What started as fiction soon tangled with tragedy. Polanski's wife, actress Sharon Tate, was murdered a year later by the Manson family. a cult that claimed satanic motives and believed the killings were prophesied by art and music. The press, hungry for a story, tied the murder back to Rosemary's Baby. Suddenly, the film was seen as cursed, a prophecy of evil, an omen that had escaped the real and infected reality. The phrase "the cursed film" became part of its myth. Even Hollywood insiders began to whisper. The film's composer, Krzysztof Komeda, died mysteriously months later. The film's producer, William Castle, suffered a near-fatal illness soon after. Polanski himself, already haunted by loss, spiraled into darkness that would define his public life for decades. Whether you believe in curses or coincidence, Rosemary's Baby carried a shadow that never quite left. And yet the film endured, because it wasn't just about Satan. It was about control, about how women's fears are dismissed, how their pain is rationalized away by men, by institutions, by the polite voices that say, "You're just imagining things." That theme made Rosemary's Baby timeless. Feminist critics later reclaimed it as a metaphor for bodily autonomy and patriarchal manipulation. The horror wasn't the devil. It was gaslighting, power, and the loss of agency. Technically, Rosemary's Baby changed the language of horror. It proved that fear could be psychological, elegant, and deeply human. Polanski's slow pacing and oppressive realism inspired generations of filmmakers, from Stanley Kubrick's The Shining to Ari Aster's Hereditary. Even the apartment itself, with its gothic woodwork and suffocating coziness, became a blueprint for domestic terror. Over the decades, the bans lifted, but the unease never did. Whenever the film was re-released, audiences rediscovered how disturbingly relevant it felt. In the age of conspiracy, control, and paranoia, Rosemary's quiet breakdown speaks louder than ever. Her whispered line, "This is no dream. This is really happening," has become one of the most chilling moments in cinema history because it echoes beyond fiction. It's what victims of power, gaslighting, and oppression have said for centuries. Today, Rosemary's Baby sits among the greatest films ever made, ranked high by critics, preserved by the Library of Congress, and dissected in universities. Yet the controversy never truly faded. Even modern screenings face protests from religious groups, and debates continue about Polanski's personal life, blurring the line between art and artist. Can we separate a masterpiece from its maker? Should we? Those questions keep the film alive and keep us uncomfortable. Because Rosemary's Baby was never meant to comfort us. It was meant to disturb, to question blind faith in the safety of the ordinary, to remind us that evil doesn't always scream. Sometimes it smiles. As the credits roll and that eerie lullaby plays, sung softly by Mia Farrow herself, the fear doesn't end. It lingers. It follows you into the hallway, into your own home, into the quiet moments when you wonder who you can really trust. That's why the film remains powerful, and why, decades later, it still feels dangerous. It wasn't just a story about the devil taking a child. It was a story about the world taking your truth and twisting it until you doubt yourself. And that, perhaps, is the most terrifying thing of all.